Hi, I'm Richard Fletcher. I'm the Chief Information Officer at Grain. I've been here for 4 years. I look after our IT and technology team, focusing on our digital experience. Grain Connect's a broadband provider providing internet services to consumers and businesses, predominantly in the north of England. We are an alternative network, which means that we don't use BT's infrastructure, so we build our own. So we go out, dig up roads. That then means that we own all of the infrastructure, and means that we can pass on kind of that value to customers through pricing, low cost, and slightly unique service. So Grain's got 200 employees at the moment, which splits across field engineering and then our head office function, which has kind of finance, customer support, tech support, and our IT teams. When we started our big investment cycle in 2021, we basically started to build in mainly urban sites, so kind of in Carlisle, in the northeast of England, around Middlesbrough, Hartlepool, in the Midlands, around Birmingham, predominantly in kind of city locations rather than rural locations. When we took our investment on, we were very clear that we wanted to scale the business, and that would need a new set of technology to help us support that. So in 2019, we started a process to tender from our existing CRM, and the key thing for us in terms of wanting to do that was making sure that we had a long-term partner that we could scale the business with to meet our aspirations of getting up to 250,000 premises initially, and then beyond that to 500,000, but also critically to actually support the customer growth. So while initially we will be doing work around the build, so actually building out our network, the key then is obviously we want subscribers and customers to come onto our network and use it, and that means that we have to provide services to kind of billing, technical support, customer support, etc. So we needed a good CRM that was going to scale with us. We're now kind of 3 years into that journey, and we're just approaching 40,000 customers now. We had lots of different pieces of technology being used. So we had Infusionsoft for our CRM, we had DocuSign for contract signatures, QuickBooks for our financing package, SendGrid for some of our email pieces, Zapier, etc. So we had a set of different tools that had been kind of stuck together mainly through manual processes. So actually a lot of our software stack and customer stack was really just done by people. So they would happily put the order into Infusionsoft, but then manually create the order in Go Cardless to collect the direct debits, etc. So the approach that we wanted to take when we started out on the journey to put the new CRM stack in place was definitely to kind of consolidate everything into a single platform so that we've got better control, with the end goal being that then we can launch a full self-service capability. Grain Connect is really focused on having a low-cost operating model, and that goes throughout the ethos of the business, which is partly why we build ourselves rather than using BT's infrastructure, so that we're not paying somebody else for the ongoing costs. And likewise, that flows through to our technology stack and choices, which is why we wanted to have a suite of products that could integrate and reduce the ongoing costs for us. Ultimately, the cost savings that we get from having this low-cost operating model, we use to basically share that back to our customers to keep the prices as competitive as possible. Broadband's a very competitive market, and while we don't just compete on price, because we obviously have a great service that we offer, it is super important for us to keep that pricing super sensitive. So my background previously was at PlusNet, and that as an ISP built all of its own software stack and used actually mainly open source technology to do that. When we came to Grain, we recognised that we didn't want to kind of start from scratch, but what we did want to do was try and use low code and kind of have a commercially off the shelf product to do some of the core features that will then integrate and customise, rather than having to actually start from scratch and code it all. When we started out on the journey from the ITT, we went out to a number of providers, all the big names, Salesforce, HubSpot, and a couple of industry-backed providers, NetAdmin, etc. And during that process, we kind of concluded that actually, while we could take one of these products which had been customized for the sector. So actually a lot of the providers had built a vertical solution that was focused on communication providers. The appeal for us about Zoho, we could actually design what exactly we wanted, or when we were going through the tender process, we concluded because we wanted to plough our own path in terms of actually this customization approach, that we would definitely need a partner. So we picked Creative Analysis, who was a Zoho partner that was recommended to us, and They helped us initially just build up confidence through a kind of proof of concept and a bit more of a kind of deep dive during the tender process, just to make sure we had total confidence in the solution that we're picking with Zoho. The core requirement of what we're looking for was the CRM capability, but it being fairly clear as we're going through it that actually the benefit for us will be to take the Zoho One product as a kind of business operating system, to bundle in a number of different products that could then kind of solve different problems that the business has in different areas. So we already had an instant of desk, but we didn't have a kind of tool for website analysis. So we chose to use and deploy PageSense, for example. So we've taken on a lot of the capability in the Zoho One suite, just as our ability then just to pull everything into one place, but also then have that all managed in a single permissions group, because you've got that in the kind of Zoho One directory capability. So at the moment from Zoho One, we use CRM, Sales IQ, Survey, Forms, Desks, Campaigns, PageSense, Analytics, and Data Prep. There's probably more. Yeah, because I didn't say Vault. The team, when we obviously took on Zoho, the IT team, we all started to learn Deluge. So syntactically, not difficult to kind of learn, but it's been really helpful to have that common language across all of the kind of Zoho platform. So it just helps us kind of consistency point of view. It's been great. So when a new employee starts, the kind of new starter request comes in via actually a Zoho form. That gets then processed through into Zoho One, and all the permission groups are already set. So if they're in the finance team, they'll get access to the Vault, CRM, Data Prep, etc. If they're in marketing, they'll get access to PageSense and the campaigns piece, so on. So we have that all kind of set up, which is great for kind of new starters, that they're going straight into the right permission groups and right settings straight away. And one of the things that we have been able to do is remove some of the kind of applications that are kind of on the side. We had 30 or 40 users on LastPass, which we moved over to use Vault. We had a number of users on DocuSign, which again we moved over to use Zoho Sign instead. So we've managed to save quite a bit of licensing costs just by moving those products over. And what's really nice for us now with the Zoho One platform is we don't really have to worry if another user wants an access to that license, because the cost is already there and we've already paid for it for maybe their CRM. So yeah, it's no issue for us to actually give them Vault. So historically, we didn't give people, everybody LastPass licenses in every part of the business. We now do. One of the great capabilities in Zoho overall is the ability for the teams to have their own dashboards, whether that be in CRM, Desk, etc. They can self-service that, they can build their own simple reports, they can build their own kind of key things that they want to track on a day-to-day basis. One of the things that's been great is that Zoho have been pushing out regular features, new updates. There might not always be things that we use, but you can see the kind of the level of effort and development that they're putting in to develop the product, which is really great for us, because we see lots of small benefits, but also some big ones when new features, etc. come in. The rollout went well, but adoption always takes time, and belief takes time, right? So I think, if you spoke to our CEO in the first couple of weeks after the deployment, he hated it, right? But he only hated it because he didn't know where stuff was, right? And he now loves it. I think a lot of it just comes down to, once people have got used to the system, that change has to take place, and then they can see the massive benefits after the fact. So Creative were really helpful for us during obviously the kind of initial deployment of Zoho. They offered us a lot of advice during kind of some process mapping workshops, best practice, how you should set things up. Really valuable kind of insights from Creative in terms of getting us set up to use the product. And they did a few customizations with us along the way. The team itself now pretty much handles most of its customizations, but the first couple of kind of sales widgets they did for us, rather than us doing it ourselves, just as we were getting up to speed. Creative have been super helpful for us in the implementation, but then also as ongoing support, right? So we've got an ongoing support contract with them. We have a monthly checkpoint call where we just kind of find out what's going on. Then if we've got issues, they're always on it really quickly, of kind of working with Zoho support. Yeah, and one of the key things that we get out of our kind of monthly catch-ups with Creative is what new features are coming out from Zoho. We, as a team, we don't always have time to sit there and read the blogs, the community stuff. Them as a partner are always obviously looking at kind of what's new and what's coming up. And it's great to get the feedback from Paula, Jack and Sue around kind of what they've seen, what things they think will help us. They understand our business already. I mean, our relationship with Creative, I think now is for the long term. Very much like Zoho now. They've they're really an extension to our kind of team. So one of the great things obviously about Zoho One is the other capability that's there in terms of additional products. So, you know, hopefully over the next kind of 18 months, we're going to take a look at Zoho Assist for maybe doing some remote configuration if customers are having problems with their routers, potentially looking at Zoho Learn for kind of some of our onboarding capability, and also the Zoho Contract for some of our legal and contract issuing. I definitely recommend Zoho. I think we've had a great experience with the product. For me, when I came into it, I'd used other CRM providers before. It was a big step for us to switch in terms of that side of it. I got experience, I was confident in the other providers' capability, and you know, I feel that Zoho has come on a long way. But the key bit for me is the Zoho One capability just means that you don't have to make decisions about licensing other products, etc. And therefore the benefit you get from having it all in one place under one subscription is huge. We definitely work with Creative and continue our relationship with them, and we have no hesitation in recommending them as a partner if you were going to implement Zoho. Green Connect, giving the UK a better choice for broadband.